4 months later, and we're back with Storytime Saturday. I'm super sorry I haven't done one of these in a while. I've just been super busy, so I've honestly just been posting the videos that were already ready to go, as I've just had very little time. I've been just out and about doing so much. We're back, and this is part 3 of how I found love. Let's get a quick recap from the last part. I had my first kiss with Kay. I was falling for her. Had the worst date of my life by jumping the gun and asking her to be my girlfriend and getting rejected, replaying that moment over and over and barely speaking to her. But what happened after? A week or so went by and there was very little conversation had, and I was leaning more and more towards just bailing and trying again with someone new, as there was still a few girls lingering around that I'd stopped talking to when I wanted to pursue things with Kay, but I really didn't want to do it. I liked Kay, but I knew I had to leave it up to her and to chance, as I wasn't going to push this and possibly make things worse. But man, was I crushed. To my surprise, about a week later after, she hit me up and asking if I wanted to go on a trip with her, Carly, Ray, and Cole, and these 2 other guys named Joe and Christian down to San Diego. Here's the interesting part of the situation. First date ever with Kay. Ray, who went, said he was reconnecting with Carly, trying to get close to her. Then you had Cole from just 2 weeks ago on my first kiss with Kay, who was there holding hands, arm around Carly just literally 2 weeks ago. And then you have Joe, who clearly just wanted to sleep with Carly. So it honestly felt like The Bachelor takes on San Diego. And Christian, if you're wondering who he is, he was just a really chill guy, and he doesn't like girls like that, if you catch my drift. Did I honestly want to go on this trip? No. Hell no. But it honestly seemed like a last resort. An extra quarter in football, extra innings in baseball, overtime on the basketball court. All right, I'm gonna stop. So 2 days before the trip, 2 people in my office got COVID. And I wasn't scared, I was almost happy, because if I didn't get sick, then I'd have one more chance with Kay. And if I got COVID, then I don't have to go and possibly can avoid more embarrassment than I was already feeling. I went home, took a COVID test, and it was negative, so now I gotta go on this trip. The night before, I went and got new clothes, didn't bother trying them on in the store, only to find out when I got home that they were too small, because I was getting to be on the larger side at that point. Go home, I pack, and we agree the girls will drive together and the boys will drive together. I offered to drive because I had the biggest car at the time, rest in peace my Ford Edge. I don't know why I agreed to do this, because I'm driving with the 2 dudes who claim to be getting closer with Carly. And oh yeah, Kay texted me the morning before we left at 2 in the morning to tell me I can't let them know that they have each been out with Carly in the last 3 weeks to avoid any awkwardness or any confusion, as I was very confused. I agreed to not say anything. The next morning, I left to go pick up the guys. I stopped at the liquor store and bought a shit ton of liquid courage, because at this point, liquor was a lifeline, and I had a really weird feeling I was gonna need a lot of it. Pick up the boys, and it was a completely silent car ride for about 2 hours. And it didn't help that the dude I somewhat knew, Cole, was just dead asleep in the back seat, so it's just me and Ray. And I want you to remember this car ride, okay? A little foreshadowing for you. We finally get down to San Diego, and the hotel, at least what I thought was a hotel, was actually a 2-star motel with, I'm not gonna spoil it yet, but we were sitting in the car, and a dude walks up to my door, asks me to roll down my window, and asks, "Where you from? You know where you at?" And would you believe me that the dude asking me where I'm from with the high socks, the wife beater, and the bandana on was actually the motel manager? Yeah. Because me either. We told him we were checking in and the girls were closer to the water, so we decided let's just bail from here for a little bit and just meet them somewhere else, because I honestly didn't want to be there. So we head down to the beach, only to find that they're way farther down west, so we get back in the car and we try again and we meet up with them. I honestly didn't think it could get any more awkward than this. Not one word was said. We didn't even say hi to each other. We decided to walk around a bit, and I bought myself a hoodie that would later get me in trouble with just my luck. And after shopping, we get some lunch, which was disgusting. It was this gross chicken place. And then the girls wanted to get hats for everyone, which I thought was weird, so we went to Five and Below and we were just looking at hats, and I felt like we were just killing time before getting fucked up in the nighttime. But eventually nightfall did come, and this is where the most wild trip of my life starts. We get back to the motel, and I don't even think it qualifies as a motel, but we get back, the girls go to their room, we go to ours, and we're unpacking. The room sucks, the window's broken, the sheets are stained, there's literally blood on the walls. Ray got the final say because he was paying for the majority of the room, which I didn't know that. I would have covered my share of the room. And also, fuck that, if I would have known, I would have just splurged and got us all an actual nice hotel. Another foreshadowing, by the way. So we're putting our stuff away, and I hear screaming coming from the girls' room. We run over there. They had brought in a suitcase that had snacks in it, and something had eaten through the bag, through the snacks. And would you be shocked if I told you this place also had rats too? I was the one who agreed to go in there and hunt the rat by myself. The whole time I was in there, I was thinking, when the fuck did I become an exterminator, and why did I volunteer for this? I couldn't find the rat, which I was super happy about, but we agreed to let them stay in our room. Ah, yes. 4 dudes, 2 girls in a motel room. Wait, that sounded really bad. Oh, okay, just imagine that. Wait, no, don't imagine. Okay, just imagine very little space is what I'm trying to say. Kay and Carly are obviously shaken up, so we decided to get the drinking going early. We got the beer pong set up and off we were drinking. Everyone was starting to feel it, but Ray was on another planet of how messed up he was getting. Here's where things took a turn that I didn't know about until after, and I think it's completely unforgivable, and if I would have been in the room, I would have handled it differently. We're all drinking. I see Kay sitting outside. She wasn't feeling well. It was a mix of the anxiety because the trip was just not going according to plan, but also the liquor wasn't really agreeing with her. I needed fresh air too, so I figured I'd just go sit with her, and I brought her a snack, something to balance out the liquor. I get out there, and she wanted a hug. She was clearly just under a lot of stress, so I gave her a hug, and she's facing the opposite side of the motel. I'm actually facing our room, and I see 6 rats in a row, like a mother and her ducklings, walk right by the front door, and I just told her everything's gonna be fine so that she didn't see the rats. What I also didn't know is while this is all going on, Ray is so fucked up to the point he's on the opposite side of the motel crying, telling Carly that he's a virgin, he's never been laid, and he was begging Carly to let him hit, like grabbing her on the arm and just saying all these things of how bad he wants to get laid. I didn't see any of this happen, and I didn't know about any of this until the next morning, but he was making her very uncomfortable. By the time me and Kay went back inside, Ray was passed out on the floor in his own vomit. Carly didn't mention any of this that had happened until the following morning, but the vomit added much needed ambiance to the already decrepit room. And by the way, when Ray was doing all this to Carly, who was in the room with them, but also laughing and not doing a thing about it? Cole, the guy who was supposedly actually dating Carly. Oh yeah, good job to you, bud. Anyways, we all get in our pajamas and we sober up a little bit, and we start playing this fun little party game on our phone, like some little mini game. Then Joe pulls up ready to party, but everyone was already beat, and he was kind of annoyed that the party was kind of over. Party I use loosely because it felt like a meth head's wet dream party, just playing beer pong in a gross motel. Girls wanted food, and I was probably the most sober to drive, so I took everyone to Taco Bell. We all got our food, we went back to the room. They all ate their food, and when I went to eat mine, it was gone. Kay was so drunk that she ate her food, and then she ate mine before I even sat down. So what did I have? Fucking goldfish. At this point, Joe says he wants to go out and no one wants to, so I figured I'd go because I felt bad this dude drove all the way down here for legitimately nothing because he wasn't staying the whole trip. I think he was just staying for the night. So I figured I'd go to a bar with him. I'd never met this guy. We go into downtown San Diego to this bar, and I have a beer with him and we're talking. I legit met this guy 5 minutes ago, and he said he used to have a thing with Carly, and I swear this information and this rabbit hole about Carly is just going so deep. But I just said I was single, but seeing Kay just to see where it goes, ended up paying the tab, and we were walking out, and this guy at the end of the bar stops me and asks if I want to take a shot with him. I see no issue with that, so I ask what's in it, and this biker with a leather jacket goes, all you need to know is that it's liquid cocaine. And it sounded fair to me, so bottoms up, I downed it. The girls call and say they don't want to be at the motel anymore and they want to drive around. So I go and pick them up, and we sat in the car at the beach. It's about 1 a.m. at this point, and everyone's getting tired, but I could tell the girls were very nervous about going back to the motel, as any other sane person would. I mean, I wasn't thrilled about it either. So I did what any decent guy would have done, and I looked online and I found them a nice hotel for them to stay in. It was like $350 for a night, but honestly worth it to make sure they were comfortable. And a side note, when I pulled out of the beach parking lots, I couldn't see where I was going, so I turned on my blinders on my car, and there's a couple in plain sight on the beach, full on just having sex, and everyone in the car, Joe, Carly, Kay, were screaming at me to drive, and I panicked. My car stalled, and for about 15 seconds, we're all just watching this couple just go at it. And if you were wondering, don't worry, the couple it didn't faze them. So eventually we get out. I take them to the hotel. We went back to the motel. I dropped off Joe, and there was no beds available. There's Joe, who's in one bed. Ray is in one bed in his own vomit, and Cole is in another bed. So there's just no room. I'm not sleeping next to a dude in a bed I've never met before and have just barely met. And I wasn't going to chance my health on the floor. That's a biohazard. So I ended up just sleeping in the car. I got about 2 hours of sleep before waking up to acorns hitting my car because I was under a tree, and a dude just straight posted up against my car smoking a cigarette. I texted Kay to ask her when she wanted me to pick them up from the hotel, and Cole was pissed that they didn't stay at the motel with us. He was mainly mad at Carly for ditching him, but honestly, he was fighting the wrong battle. Kay asked me to come have breakfast with them at the hotel, but to not bring any of the guys because they didn't want to see them quite yet. I head over and we have breakfast, which was very mid, even for hotel standards, but I mean, it's better than nothing. But I take them back to the motel to get their belongings and to get ready, and we all take the grossest showers of our lives. I wore shoes in the shower, and we had to watch for rats coming through the floor in the drain, Ray starts saying he's not feeling well and that he's gonna throw up. And we pull over and he's about to cry and dry heaving. And I'm thinking he's hungover. He thinks that he kind of subconsciously knows what he did the night before and is just trying to get everyone to feel bad for him. Up until this point, I still didn't know that this had all happened. So I'm just kind of confused and just letting them do their thing because I'm not getting involved. I don't know these people that well. I've known them for 3 weeks, but it was really extra when this dude gets in the car and he calls his mom to check on side effects on this medicine he's taking and asking her if it's good advice to go to the hospital. I'm not taking anyone to the hospital. So after he pulled his big boy pants up and decided to be a man, we started to hit the shops and then decided to have the most awkward lunch I had ever been a part of. We went to this really good pizza place that I believe it's Kate's grandma that suggested it. Rest in peace to her. She was an amazing person. This pizza place was supposedly really good. Not that I would have known because I didn't eat a damn thing because I was so uncomfortable. We were all sitting at this table, me, Ray, Cole, Carly, and Kay. Joe went home. I don't remember why. I think it was for work. We were all in complete silence. And then Kay starts trying to throw these little softball knock jokes out there to just get the conversation going. These jokes weren't hitting anybody besides making Cole laugh occasionally before finally she just threw in the towel, called it quits, and got up to go to the bathroom. If you were a fly on the wall in that room, you could just see me constantly staring at the ceiling and all the lovely decor to avoid making any eye contact with anybody. I felt like I was in trouble even though I didn't do anything, and I felt like someone at the table had a gun to all of our heads, forcing us to have this insufferable lunch. They finally get done eating, I get done watching, and we go day drinking because at this point, why not? We drink, we sober up, and I drive us back to the motel where I meet Christian, and he was a very nice dude. And for some reason, Ray and Cole's mood changed instantly when he arrived, mainly because you had me, who was in this neutral spot. I don't really know what's happening. You have Ray and Cole who were doing anything they could to get at Carly, and now you had the sensible friend Christian who's here to just keep the girls safe and comfortable. Not that I wasn't doing that, it's just I didn't really know anybody here yet well enough to read the situation. So we get back to the motel, we pack up, and Christian said it's time to splurge on a nicer hotel for us, which I was so happy someone finally said it. The last straw at the motel was us being locked out. The motel manager could not get the door open, so instead of calling someone like a locksmith to come fix the door, he opted to break the window, and then he just flat out kicked the door while yelling that this place is ghetto. I love the astute observation though. So we packed our shit. I don't know if we got a refund. I don't care. It wasn't my money. And we went to a different place. I grew a pair of balls and I told Kay that I wanted to talk. And during that conversation, I heard a sentence that could have and should have put the nail in the relationship coffin. I get her alone in the parking lot and I first ask if she's upset with me because we weren't really talking. And that's when she said they were furious with what Ray did. She explained to me what happened in detail because, like I said, I wasn't in the room for that. So that I understood that they were upset. I told her that I'm really sorry for asking her to be my girlfriend so abruptly the last time and that I just kind of wanted to see where we were at. Almost for the sake of just I wanted to see what damage had really been done. And she then says she thinks we'd be great as friends. And that right there, that statement can make the strongest man feel some type of way. If Hercules got friend-zoned like I did, you know he would have thrown a rock at something with tears in his eyes, flailing his fist in the air, saying, "Why?" It all hit in that moment. This was over. And from there, you're about to hear about the fastest downward spiral you've ever seen. Say, okay. Then looks at me and says, "Don't feel sad. We're gonna have so much fun tonight." And I'm just thinking to myself, what a fucking liar. We go to our rooms and we start getting ready. And by ready, the girls were getting ready. Makeup, hair, clothes. Me? Fuck that. I was pre-gaming like a motherfucker. I had legit nothing to lose. I had about 2 or 3 drinks and I went down to the parking lot and met some guy named Freddie who was sitting at the table smoking a J. Freddie was there with one of his 5 baby mamas who he was telling me about, and we were talking about life. He was high as shit. I was drunk off my ass and we were just talking about life. He offered me some weed, you know, the usual. After about 30 minutes of life conversation with Freddie, I ended up getting his number, which I think is still in my contacts to this day. He was a really chill dude from what I remember, but I also could have just been super fucked up. It was time to hit the bars. We opted to meet at a bar 10 minutes away from us. Again, separate cars, boys in one, girls and Chris in the other. Problem is, I'm so hammered at this point, I could not drive. So I let Ray drive, and it's bizarre being in your own car driven by someone else. But we get to the first bar. It's a rooftop bar, and we get there and we're waiting, and the girls no-show. The guys are annoyed. I'm just drunk and sad, and they text to say they went to go get food and didn't like the vibe of the bar we were at. So they gave us another location for a different bar. Get to that bar, and it's all cougars dancing to music we've all never heard of. Again, didn't see the girls there, but they said that wasn't the vibe either, and texted again saying there's a bar just down the street. At this point, the guys were furious because it felt like we were just being dragged around. I didn't really feel that way because I really couldn't feel anything to that point because every bar we've gotten to stopped and had another drink. So I was lucky to even feel the 2 feet that I'm walking on. Oh yeah, and while we're leaving the second bar, I wandered away with this one dude who tried to get me to go with him because, and I quote, he had a Visa Platinum card, and my drunk ass thought that was the coolest thing, and so I just start walking with him to his car. Thank God for Ray, but also fuck him for what he did, but he did possibly save me from getting kidnapped. When we got the new location for this shindig, we're waiting to leave. I walk into this restaurant, I try to order some chicken nuggets. Remember the first day when I said I got a hoodie that got me into trouble? Yeah, so this hoodie was a yellow hoodie that just said the word Oceanside on it, a complete tourist hoodie, nothing gang affiliated about that, it just says Oceanside. So while I'm waiting for my chicken strips, this guy comes in, sits next to me, puts his arm around me and says, you know what city you're repping? We don't bang that over here. We rep love, none of that gang shit. And I said drunkenly, dude, I just bought this hoodie at a gift shop. He awkwardly gets up and leaves. And I don't know if it's just because I was so hammered, but those were the best goddamn chicken strips I've ever had in my young adult life. But I didn't get to finish them because the girls were waiting on us. So we left and got to the bar. And there they were at the bar, actually inside, dancing and talking to this guy and this girl. I'm in my own drunken world, buying drinks and slamming them down. And I opened up a tab for myself. And what I didn't know is that Christian was getting the girls drinks and refills on my tab. So yeah, picture this. I maxed out my credit card after getting friend zoned. Can you imagine that? No? Yeah. I don't want to either. The girls are dancing, doing their thing, talking to this couple, and we're all in the corner just looking so defeated. At one point, Cole tries to go talk to Carly, and she looks at him from across the bar and just flips him off, and he was livid. I sat alone at the bar, and this girl comes and sits next to me, maybe like in her 40s, and she asked if I wanted to see what was in her purse. She was completely drunk too. Interestingly, I said yeah, and she starts dumping everything out of her purse, and I don't remember what was in it, but I was interested for some reason. I then got a wave of sadness over me, so I just walked out of the bar to get some fresh air. Ray met up with me on me, and I honestly told him what had happened, what I was feeling, and we went for a walk for about a mile. And while we're talking, this homeless guy with no legs in a wheelchair asks us to push him 1.5 miles the other way to a train station. We looked at each other, and honestly, we had nothing left to lose, so we agreed, and we walked this homeless dude all the way to the train station. And then we walked back to the bar, so it's about probably 3 miles at this point. Ray was telling me how he's felt like he's been getting played and strung along, and I just told him I regret coming on this trip and that I really didn't want to see this girl anymore after tonight, which I really didn't. But we make it back to the bar, and the girls are extremely intoxicated, like badly, like singing and screaming, stumbling up the stairs, and one even threw up. I think it was Kay. So I go to pay the tab. The bartender says I didn't tip enough, and I laughed in her face and said, too bad, and walked out of the bar. We get back to the hotel, and this is where I'm embarrassed. I get back, drunk off my ass. The girls had already gone to bed. I start doing a sobriety test on myself, like trying to walk a straight line in the parking lot, which I failed. And then I sat down on the bench outside where I was hanging out with Freddie earlier in the evening, and all the overwhelming feelings of that trip hit me at once, mixed with the liquor, and I start crying. Card was maxed. I blew things with K. I'm drunk at a hotel. I don't even know where I'm at. The guys came down and see all this, and they talked me through my little breakdown, and we decided to go for yet another walk. I regret this, but we walked at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just shit talking the whole trip. Cole and Ray were shit talking Carly, and for some reason Kay's parents. I was shit talking how I felt like I was used and that I should just go back to doing me, you know, fuck love, this and that. Around 4:30ish, we get back and we finally go to bed. And if you thought this day was bad, wait until I woke up. I woke up to a text from Carly. I guess I had drunk texted her saying that I wanted to talk to Kay, but I couldn't remember for the life of me what I wanted to talk about because there was nothing left to say really. But I was hungover as shit. I felt like a truck hit me, and I went next door and I sat with Kay, Carly, and Christian in their room, and they were just saying how upset they were at the situation with Ray that took place night one. Kay and Christian seemed a lot more upset. Carly just seemed sad, and I honestly did feel really bad. After we talked, I went back to the room because we still had one more day, and I'm trying to just come up with things that could just make it a good day for everybody. Not Ray, because fuck him. I mean, I appreciate that he, you know, saved me from getting kidnapped, talked me down from being completely sad, but, you know, you don't do that, right? So we're all getting ready in our respective rooms, and then there's a knock at the door. It was Kay, Carly, and Christian wanting to confront Ray. Ray doesn't know what's going on, so he goes outside, and you could hear from behind the door, but they are just going off on him about how he made her uncomfortable, how he harassed her, asked for the sexual favors. And when they got done going off on him, he came back in and said, I was drunk, it didn't happen, I didn't mean to. And Cole, who I thought was Carly's boyfriend, goes, nah, you're fine, dude, you didn't do anything wrong. After they got done confronting him, I go downstairs to the car to get a shirt because because at this point I was out of clothes, but I had some more in the car. And I see the girls and Christian loading up the car. We had one more day there, so I was confused. So I went down and Kay said, it's not you, it's them, Ray and Cole. We're calling this trip short and going home. You can go home too. You can stay here. It's up to you, but we're done. They hugged me goodbye and I watched them drive away. Pretty dramatic, huh? I go back and tell the guys trip's over and let's just go home. Best part about that morning was outside of our room, there was a vending machine with a big Texas cinnamon roll, which cures any hangover. I scarfed that shit down so fast and we packed up and we got on the road. I dropped Cole off at this weird truck stop in the middle of buttfuck nowhere where his friends for some reason were. And then it was just me and Ray for an hour drive home. I'm bumping Juice WRLD, trying everything I can to just not talk to this dude, which is fine. He's not talking either. We finally get to his place and his mom is standing outside the house waiting for us to pull in, just mean mugging the hell out of me. Ray gets out, he gets his shit, and he runs to her and hugs her while visibly crying, and she's still just mean mugging me as if it's my fucking fault that this happened. I don't even say bye. I awkwardly wave and get in the car and I went home. I got there and my parents were asking how the trip was, and I honestly was so mentally and physically exhausted, I didn't even want to talk about it. I hadn't really slept in days. I've been drunk 3 days straight. By now, you've got to be asking yourself, D-Long, how on God's green earth did you end up with this girl? What if I told you I saw Kay again that night? But you'll have to wait until part 4. I gotta leave you guys on a cliffhanger. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in next Saturday's story time, and new videos dropping daily this week, so stay tuned for that. I love y'all to death, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's take a little gander, boys.